The 3 versus 6, which is the 3-seeded Philadelphia 76ers playing the 6th-seeded Brooklyn Nets. Nets made a good job of salvaging their season after pretty much, you can say, blowing it up, trading away Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And I forget, Steve Nash did start the season with them, right? And then they let him go and went with Jacques Vaughn. Okay. So much has happened this season that I forgot that, I forgot Steve Nash was their head coach for the beginning of the season. But yes, anyways, so in case you forgot, now you know. Obviously, Philly won game 1, got really red hot from 3. Do you think basically Philly continues that and takes care of business? Or you think Brooklyn may be cooking something?
I think Philly's going to take care of business. I mean, like you mentioned, a good portion of the reason that Brooklyn has the record they do is because Kyrie and Kevin Durant were on this roster. There was even a point where the Nets, with Kyrie and KD, were the 2nd seed in the East, like right behind Boston. Obviously, that was earlier in the season, and then things start to happen, injuries, trades, all that stuff, and they start to fall down. But yeah, I just don't think that the Nets have the firepower to keep up with Philadelphia. I don't think they have the size to compete with Joel Embiid. I mean, Nick Claxton is certainly a solid defender, but I mean, once you go to the bench, like who you got guarding him? Who's their backup center? Day'Ron Sharpe. I mean, he's 6'9". Like I just don't think that he's going to be able to go out there and stop someone like Joel Embiid. And so you basically are entirely relying on Nick Claxton, or you're going to try and do what other teams like Boston do when they go undersized and you just start throwing bodies. But I don't think that Brooklyn has, once again, that defensive personnel to make it happen. Also, in terms of scoring, I mean, they got a couple good scores. Like, I mean, Mikal Bridges, shout out to that guy, dropped 30 today. So, like, he's doing his thing. He's been
hooping since he got there, as we've been reminded by our good friend, Kyle Wells, because he's a Suns fan, so he was a little bit upset about that trade.
Yeah, he's been balling. Cam Johnson, he's a good scorer. Dinwiddie is decent sometimes, but ultimately I don't think that they have, once again, the personnel to keep up with the consistent offensive production you're going to get out of Embiid. You're going to get some scoring out of Harden. Maxey had a very quiet game 1, and I don't expect that to continue. I don't think he's going to be dropping like 40 every night, but I do think that he can get into the 20s. And you still got Tobias Harris. I mean, he went 9 of 14 today, 3 of 3 from deep, 21 points. Like, once again, when I just said, I don't think that on the other side, they got the firepower. Even when you start going to the bench, I mean, Montrezl Harrell barely played, but say the series kind of gets out of hand, he's a good scorer. He can go out there and I think that he could score at any of the bigs that the Nets got. So, yeah, ultimately, I just think that Philadelphia is going to close this one out pretty simply. I'm personally saying it's going to be a sweep.
Okay. Wow. I'm going with gentleman's sweep. I just feel like we're going to be due for a James Harden like 2 for 15 night. He was really efficient in game 1, but I just feel like the Nets will adjust to because
just random thing. By the way, I saw the headline today that from ESPN, I think, and it was like worded as like Harden authors perfect game 1, and so I thought he was gonna like have some crazy stat line. Like, I mean, he did have a good game, 23 points, 13 assists. But like, I don't know, perfect, and he went 8 of 21 from the field. Like, he didn't shoot a single free throw. I don't know. That doesn't feel perfect to me. Had 4 turnovers. Anyway, sorry, just small nitpicky
I mean, you're
thing.
right. I mean, yeah, like as my I do want to add too in regards to, I feel like game 1 they definitely threw like a lot of double teams at Embiid. I wonder if they adjust off that. And they have good wing defenders, and Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson solid, Mikal Bridges obviously. And that, Royce O'Neal coming off the bench. So I just feel like maybe they steal a game that, they play some good defense. Philly maybe isn't shooting as well. Maybe Embiid, gets in foul trouble because he is a big part of their offense. And like we saw I saw with game 1. I don't think they have to be a little more creative when they trap Embiid, I think. But nonetheless, on the other side, Philly's still a really solid defensive team. And I'm just not sure that if Mikal Bridges and Spencer Dinwiddie are enough to win you a series, basically, more outside maybe 1 or 2 games. So yeah, I'm going with the Sixers. Just like you said, who the heck's going to guard Embiid? I don't know about that on this roster, but I will say it'd be very interesting to see what Brooklyn does going forward. I would have liked to have seen a healthy Ben Simmons with this roster. I felt like this actually would have been a solid like roster around Ben if he, came back and stuff. And I don't want to fully get into that, but nonetheless, Brooklyn's got at least a solid base, something that they didn't have for a bit because they had Durant and all the stars, but for a while they're still grabbing role players. Now it seems like they kind of go in reverse, and we'll see if they go big game hunting free agent wise in the next within the next year. But yeah, we both go Philly. Think they'll take care of business. John obviously feeling they will sweep. I am giving Brooklyn a game, so we'll see if the Nets can prove us wrong there.